Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis. Time for another edition of No Capes, where I talk about comic books that don't have to do with superheroes. This is for the week of November the 5th, 2014. Apologize in advance for any sniffling, snuffling, or those kinds of sounds. Dealing with a bit of a cold. So I'm just going to kind of try and power through this thing, because I skipped last week just because I had other stuff going on. I don't want to skip too many weeks, or you'll forget what my beautiful face looks like, right? So, here we are. Let's talk Suicide Risk, issue number 19. Used to be, I had this under my superhero books, not anymore. They're powered people. Sometimes they wear costumes, but it doesn't feel like anything like a superhero book whatsoever. So I'm going to talk about it here. Wonderful cover there. Craziness ensues in the fact everybody who was imprisoned on Earth with different personalities, not knowing their powers and whatnot, all get their powers back all at once, all get their personalities merged, the old personality and the new personality, so they know what they're fighting for, they know what they've lost, and they can make their own decisions on whether or not they want to continue to fight along with Requiem to fight against the Golden Council of this other dimension that they come from, and take back what's rightfully theirs. Most do so. Giant battle is about ready to ensue here. While this giant battle is ensuing, the Golden Council is going to crack out some secret weapon and, I don't know, zap everybody again and convert them off to some other place, you know, and lock them away in a different type of prison. Or just completely eliminating them altogether. Not sure exactly what it's going to be, because they really haven't told us yet, of course. But still really cool, really exciting, really interesting. Not a lot of people are reading this book. We talked about this on the roundtable. I think that the title "Suicide Risk" really hurts the book. Doesn't give you any indication of what's really there, and just a really surprising book, because where the book originally originated at and where it's at now are just completely different things from each other. So I'm really enjoying it. No way you could jump on the book now anywhere along the way, and I think have any kind of understanding of what's going on. It's those kind of things you see if you are interested in it. Pick up the first trade, give you kind of a sense of what's going on and where the story's going by the end of the first trade. Second trades, then kicks it up a notch and changes a whole bunch of stuff and takes you off on this other adventure that we're on now. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Some fun stuff. Six Gun, this is issue number 44, 6 issues left, half a year, and this beautiful book is going to be done. Another great issue, some exciting stuff that comes back from like the first trade. Second trade. Somewhere in there, within the first 12 issues, some of that reoccurs in this, which is really cool. Lots of great dynamic fighting here. The thing I want to talk about the most is this thing starts out with these kind of slower panels, big three panels, right? So incredible giant splash pages of monsters and lightning, and as our heroes roll in, then we get into 4 panels per page, kind of thing. That goes on for a few pages, right? Then we get into 8 panels a page as the action and what's going on starts to pick up. It's becoming more and more dynamic. So we get a few pages that are the 8 panels. Then we go to 12 panel pages. 12 panel pages as this crazy fight goes on. And granted, maybe those aren't the most super detailed, but I don't know. That conveys everything you need to convey in those panels. Just love it. And it goes on for a few pages of this. Just, crazy stuff going on. Really dynamic. Oh, I take it back. It goes from 12, then it goes to 16. These are 16s. 16 panels per page. Then it rolls back into 12. Then it goes into 8 again as it slows down. Then it goes to 4, and I'm not going to reveal the last page. The last page is a giant splash page, which a lot of these books end with this giant splash page, kind of a killer kind of a thing that just drives home some dark and sinister and grim kind of a thing. And just great. I love this book. Western with some mysticism in there and whatnot, and the battle to recreate reality in somebody's image. Who knows? And where it all ends, I don't know. We've taken this wild roller coaster ride. We've reached the top, and now we're skyrocketing down the other side of it to see what the answer is to the end of this whole story. And I'm very excited about that. The Names, issue number 3. Really starting to really dig this book. I think it'll be a beautiful trade. Like the artwork that's in it. It's got some great coloring. It just feels like an old school Vertigo book as far as the style goes. I don't know if that's a really good description. I don't know if I should use that description because I don't know what that means to a lot of people when I say it feels like an old Vertigo book. I mean, if you have read a lot of those old Vertigo books, you go, oh yeah, okay. The color, the feel, the texture of it. If you're not new, it's, if you don't know a lot of that stuff, me saying it's like an old Vertigo book is pretty meaningless, isn't it? So probably you should come up with something else. But for today, with my addled brain, that's what I'm going with. Anyway, in the story, she encounters a group called the Tulips, who her ex-husband was tied in with as kind of a counterpoint to the Names themselves that we discover as the Names have been around since the 16 or 1700s, manipulating financial markets to increase their own gains and control the world, basically. And also in this issue, we find out that the surgeon, this character who murdered the man at the very beginning, forced him to jump out of the window, is absolutely crazy and is clearly becoming a loose cannon, even for the people he's working for. They try to call him back, and it does not work. He is basically kind of gone rogue. He's doing his own thing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, he may do the work that the Names wants, but the consequences of all of his actions in the process of doing that could be so extreme as to cause everyone a lot of problems. So that's really interesting, too. The dynamic also between our main character and her very young, well, not very young, early 20s, late teens, early 20s, stepson. That whole relationship is just getting weirder and weirder because, of course, he, has the hots for her, always has, and he keeps expressing that in really kind of creepy ways because, of course, the kid is like this incredibly socially awkward and stunted person, but is also this real genius when it comes to putting together numbers and schemes and that sort of thing. So, interesting. I'm enjoying it. Men of Wrath, issue number 2. It's okay. I like Southern Bastards a whole lot better. This story so far feels much more straightforward. We continue to get descriptions about the Wrath men through the generations, that they've just got this kind of, murder in their blood kind of a thing. We do find out in this issue the current Wrath, the youngest Wrath man, kind of his history, why he's in the trouble that he's in, and that maybe he's the first Wrath that's gonna turn over a new leaf or not follow in the family's namesake of basically all being murderers in some sense or another. With his child on the way, there are some great moments. The ultrasound, the sticking the ultrasound picture up on the fridge that's in it, that's really great, and that sort of stuff. Leads some, but largely this feels very straightforward, and it doesn't feel as visceral and guttural as what it's trying to be, or maybe I'm just horribly desensitized. I don't know, or it's the cold medicine talking. A lot of horses get blasted and killed in this and stuff. And it almost feels like that's sensational more so than has a real point. I understand the point is they're killing these horses because this guy isn't paying for his land or whatever. And, these bad guys, and so they're doing bad stuff, killing off his horses. But I don't know. Kind of like in the first issue where they basically kill a baby. And it that one felt more like at a point to just inform us just how bad the Wrathmen are. This one less so. It doesn't really inform us of something, I don't think. And so I don't know. I'm not 100% feeling this book. Whereas a lot of other Jason Aaron's independent books I really like. I'm really digging Southern Bastards. Of course, I liked Scalp back in the day. But this, I don't know. I'm hoping next issue turns something around, gives me something to make this, have a different dynamic than what it has right now. Because right now it feels fairly straightforward and more about the shock than having a value to it. So, Punks, the comic. Probably should talk about this one after I talk about another one, but I'll talk about it now because that's the order I'm talking about them in. I enjoy this book. It's amusing. Yes, it's slick. It's produced. It's mass marketed in some sense. So is it really punk? No, it's not. But it plays with the punk sensibilities in as much sense as really a commercial product's going to. There are people I've seen argue the fact that it's not punk because it's what it is. You're right, and if that's the case, the Sex Pistols aren't punk, the Ramones aren't punk, all that stuff that most of us can name off. But then it feels to me like almost to some degree you're getting into more of an elitist or hipster viewpoint of the whole thing as opposed to what's really there. And for me anyway, punk has a sensibility. Truly some of it is sticking it to the man and all that stuff and being anti-culture and that sort of thing, but in a sense that creates a culture in and of its own, and that's in this book. It's captured in the book. That whole kind of in your face and screw you kind of a thing. The stories, what stories there are in here, are certainly in that sense. It's ridiculous. It flirts with that kind of stuff like the Young Ones did. It's not. It's punk, but it's also more about telling a story about a punk scene that also happens to have Abraham Lincoln living in it also, all under the same house. And I don't know. I find it amusing. I like the bizarre, cut up artwork that is there. I enjoy that. It's not a cheap comic. I mean, it's $3.99. If I suddenly start getting really hard pressed and to having to make financial decisions on which comic books I'm getting as opposed to aesthetics, there's not a lot of story value in these books, and so I might be inclined to drop it for that reason. But I'm not in that pinch right now, so I'm happy to get it, to enjoy it just for the counterculture that is there in it, the punk sensibility that is in it. It's fun, but not high literature, not incredibly gripping. It's not even really laying down any heavy social commentary necessarily or anything like that. It's just kind of a fun, ridiculous kind of thing. So I enjoy it for that. Speaking of another counterculture sort of a thing, The Humans, issue number 1. This really is basically, my description of it is, if you took a late 60s, early 70s exploitation faux documentary of a biker gang, and you wanted to show sensational stuff in the in your documentary, just to kind of make the whole biker scene and all that kind of titillating to a 12 or 13-year-old boy. That is this book in a large sense. Basically, the premise of this first issue, and all the humans, they're called humans, they're all monkey people, Everybody in it's monkey people. There's another gang, and they're monkey people also. But basically, it's a biker gang. They're burying one of their leader. They get attacked by another gang. They have a big old gang fight. Gang fight kind of ends as they beat up the other gang to some degree. They go back to their gang house. They have a big party, big old rock and roll scene and whatnot. There's lots of drugs and sex and all the, stereotypical biker stuff that goes on in it. And at the very end of it, we have a scene of, some, wandering stranger that's wandering into the biker camp, which may give us some actual real story or whatnot. If the whole biker counterculture is your thing, or you like that, if you're digging the Easy Rider magazine, that sort of a thing, this might be for you. It's not for me. I didn't care for it. I didn't think it was. Here's the thing: is I can appreciate what it was trying to grasp at in what I think it's trying to do by showing us that counterculture of biker gangs and that sort of thing. But I think it missed the mark. I don't think it did what it wanted to do. It's like it gave us the idea that this is what I want to do, but it didn't complete that. And I wouldn't say the book was bad if they did that well, and it's just not my thing, because it's not. But I don't think they did it well either. I don't think it grasped that, unless I'm missing my mark. And clearly, I'm going to get 2 more issues of it because that's how I order. So I'm going to find out if there's more to this, if there's something else, or if my impression of what this first issue is way off the mark, and it should be something different. That there's some other message other than that. But like I said, it feels to me like it missed the mark on trying to be that exploitation biker thing. It doesn't. I don't think it executed it well. On top of that, the artwork, once again, drawing a blank on the guy's name, who did a lot of counterculture and underground work back in the day. It reminds me somewhat of his work, but a much less refined version of this style of artwork. I don't know. Wasn't very good. I didn't enjoy it. I'm not looking forward to getting the next 2 issues to even explore what that's going to be. So, there you go. Super animated, man. Absolutely love this as per usual. Don't necessarily know what's going on with the story. To be quite honest with you, I will tell you right now, I don't know that I particularly care. I just love the wonderful artwork that's in this. Ted McKeever always tells a really strange story, so I'm curious to see where it all runs to at the very end. Because that'll be interesting. Look at this opening scene. Close up of a horse's eye. You find out that it's, it's a carousel horse. Just amazing. Artwork. Just incredible, black and white, extremely strong, beautiful line work. Beautiful line work all the way through it. I don't know where the story's going with our main character, what that's all going to be. There's something going on under the water, too, that's just really kind of strange and viral and epic that's going on. But I love it for the artwork. And it's a strange story, and I'm okay with having a strange story. This was issue number 4. I think it's going to issue number 9, I think. Some delays between issues, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that when I'm getting this kind of a thing. Just absolutely incredible. This issue ends with a Frank Zappa quote. And how can you go wrong with a Frank Zappa quote, right? Without a deviation from the norm, progress is not possible. Great Frank Zappa quote. So yeah, cool stuff. Mostly some awesome books. What are you guys all reading? Anything different from what I'm reading as far as the No Cape stuff? What'd I miss? And yeah, cold medicine's kicking in. I'm fading fast. So I will talk to you all next week with some more videos. Have a great one, everybody.